All right, I think we are live. Yay!
Yay! Aloha!
Yes, welcome. This is Jennifer with the Academy of Holistic Healing and my dear
And
friend Michaela
Michaela
Canetta.
with starting my own business.
Yes. Today we are talking about the limiting mindset of I don't have willpower. I can't do it. And it's a very fascinating one. But I don't think I should jump in right quick to the bottom of that particular barrel quite yet, because this is going to go fast and furious, I think. So I'm going to have to rein myself in. Um, it's been, I don't know about the rest of you, but the last couple weeks have been really crazy. And this last week especially, it's been,
Oh,
things
it's
are
summertime. Everyone's going
summertime.
crazy. Yes.
Yes. And it also seems like there's an awful lot shifting in the universe as well, because the things that I've been hearing coming from people is, oh, I can finally move. Things are finally starting to move forward. And so I don't know if other people are being able to experience this fabulous shift of things, but it's a great opportunity to take a moment and look back and go, wow, look at how far I've come. Look at
Of,
this used to be an
of,
issue and now it's not.
of course, Jennifer. Weren't you, what was it, a month ago? Exactly a month ago, you did the reading of what was happening from the middle of July and what to expect midsummer. And even previous to that, before you read from the page that you read from, we had been talking about it, and now here it is.
Yeah, and it's so fabulous to see. And even, we were talking, you so very kindly reminded me about not rushing the process. And in regards to the product that I wanted to launch, even that has finally come out. And
Oh,
all of the,
great!
yeah,
Congratulations. That's
so it is
great.
finally live. Yes.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Yeah, so as we're finally moving forward, really notice how you're operating from a different place now. And it's like the last couple years have been tearing things apart so that now we can consciously put them back together again, and finding that we're having well, I'll only speak for myself in here, but having difficulty really doing anything that my heart isn't in. And so those tasks, those chores, those things that, I'm doing because someone
Oh,
told
I have to stop you right there because it's
okay.
so funny. I almost jumped on you for using the word difficulty, and I'm having difficulty because that always starts with something that is often a self-limiting belief. And then you got me this time because you said I'm having difficulty doing anything that my heart is not in.
Uh-huh.
And that is so important. We have to come from a heart space. Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that was good.
People should know by now that we have a loose hold on most of these hangouts. They're not tightly scripted, and it tends to bring out the best in both of us by doing so. And
Yeah.
I'll share one of the things this last week has been really learning to relax into the flow. And for those of us who have to-do lists and who have deadlines and who have things that they're trying from an ego standpoint to get done, as we slip into trying to be in the flow and reacting and responding and taking inspired action as opposed to our own forced actions, sometimes we forget. I think you want to say hi.
Yeah, he actually is trying to talk from the peanut gallery. He won't come over and say hello, so I've got to close the door on him. Hold on a second.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. So I'll continue my story, though. I was trying to get the the Banished Night Terrors program to launch last week. And on Sunday night, I had everything in place. Monday morning was going to be putting the last couple things together, making sure all of the links work, and then it was supposed to go live last Monday. Monday was a day where, had I thought about it sooner, had I not been trying to follow my agenda instead of listen to what the universe was trying to tell me, I could have saved myself a whole lot of frustration. Mm-hmm. But from the moment I woke up, everything I touched, everything that I was around went cattywampus. And it was almost laughable by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because I realized I had deleted my Dropbox. Which had everything in it that I was trying to finish up on.
Yes, and the fact that you brought it all back, I can't wait to. I'm sorry, I'm so excited to hear, because I haven't heard the other side of the story.
No, that's okay. That's okay, because all these things happened. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was finally sitting down to eat. I hadn't eaten all day, which could have been part of the problem. Sitting outside, neighbor's dog upstairs peed on the back deck, all over me, all over my dinner. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go take a shower. I'm going to get something else to eat. And I think I'm done for the day. I'm turning off everything, and I'm just going to kind of chill and hang out with the boys and just kind of get away from the rest of the world. Tuesday, woke up and everything was different. Everything was right in the world. I even found all the Dropbox stuff. I had synced it to another folder on my laptop. I had deleted it, but I synced it before it deleted, which I still don't have any idea how it happened. But all of my information was still there. I didn't lose anything. I lost a day, which was my push. And once letting go of that, looking back on the course of the day, there were some really flippin' funny things that happened. And it gave me an opportunity to see how far I have come. Because one of the things that I realized in there...
That's powerful.
Yeah, because my book that I was launching was in my Dropbox. Yeah. It hadn't been uploaded to the website yet. So what I was looking at is, oh my God, I'm going to have to rewrite the whole thing. Because this was the one instance where I didn't have it saved on any other system, because I was working on it from various systems, so I kept it in my Dropbox. I've never lost anything from Dropbox before. Anyway, the thought was, well, cool, so there must be something in there that needs to be in there that isn't in there now, so that when it does launch, it's going to be even more powerful. I caught myself here saying that in my head. I'm going, awesome, awesome, yay, that's a huge step forward. So bringing it back to my point, that is what I'm finding over and over and over. The conversations in my head are showing.
I hope that I'm the only one that you have frozen for, because I can't...
And how is that showing up?
I can't hear you. I think I lost everything that you just said in the last minute.
That it's really important now to pay attention to what's going on in your self-talk, because so much has shifted and changed. We're getting confirmation of how far we've grown.
Yes,
and it's
okay.
It's a great opportunity to really be able to pat yourself on the back and say, yes, I've been doing my work.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, action. It's very important. We don't know how much time we have here. We really don't. And when we're younger, we tend to think we're invincible. But hey, even young people get hit by cars, get into accidents, have life-threatening diseases. So many things happen. And, it's not just about getting your work done, but realizing too where you're conforming to expectations. When you stop and think about how you were conforming to the expectation that you needed to get it done, and something else, maybe something needed to gel inside, maybe there was an aha moment that was waiting to blossom within you. And you were able, once you let go of that conforming to what you expected, once you let that go, everything fell into place.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And, we talk a lot about returning to our own inner wisdom. And that's a huge part. That's a huge thing in this, about looking inward to see what fits for us instead of trying to take us and fit it into someone else's idea of what we're supposed to look like, how we're supposed to act, what we're supposed to say, what we're supposed to believe, how we're supposed to do things. And it's an interesting challenge for those who are used to being taught and taking other people's direction, realizing they don't fit in any box. And what I want to do personally doesn't fit any mold. And there's not a one-size-fits-all. And learning to dismantle those beliefs that keep us playing smaller than we are because we don't fit what they say we're supposed to is really huge. And that's what the cornerstone of all of these limiting belief courses, classes.
Well, you know what? You used the word they, and a lot of the times we don't know who they are. Who are your they, Jennifer?
My they, there's a multitude of them. The biggest one that I've noticed has been either the media, and that's because where I grew up, we didn't have television, so that wasn't an influence when I was little.
That was probably a good thing, yes.
Oh,
and I wasn't allowed to watch TV when I was in school.
Yeah, it's a great thing, and it's something that I've had to really be mindful of as I've gotten older and watching what the kids watch. What are they being
subject to?
Yeah, and it's not even subject to. I mean, it's more damaging than just subject to, in my opinion, because there's no respite from it. It's everywhere you turn.
Well, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories and all that, but we've been talking for the last 8 weeks or so about breaking and blasting through these self-limiting beliefs. And if we just take a moment and think, where do these self-limiting beliefs come from? They're not necessarily our own ego, although our ego is being fed a lot of nasty stuff. But when you look at the larger picture of things, we get fed the stuff from the media. The media is owned by multi-billionaires who want to keep that money and who want to keep making money. And many of us that have been through, that are working, that maybe work for a corporation or work for a business that are punching a time clock, work so hard, and we were told that we have to work hard for our money. We're told that we have to sweat, and we get just enough money to live on and to pay our expenses and maybe have a little bit of fun. And it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be so hard. Once we break through these limiting beliefs, we realize that we can move into a place of creativity where spirit is flowing through us. And when you relax, this is a perfect example of you and your new product with the Night Terrors that's coming, that's out now, that you have launched. Have you launched it?
I have launched it.
Okay, great. I've launched it. It's the fact that once you relaxed and allowed spirit to channel through you, everything fell into place. There was no more worry.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's all about, is getting out of that conformist way and kicking that conformist to the curb And the conformist is the one who carries all that self-limiting beliefs that we've bought into.
Mm-hmm.
Once we kick that to the curb, there's no stopping us.
That's very true. And I'm going to go deep for just a moment because all of these beliefs have to do with first, second, or third chakra. And we've been working our way up, believe it or not, which I looked at it yesterday and was going, oh, isn't this interesting? They follow a pattern of going from first chakra, second chakra, and now we're getting into third chakra, which is personal power. And how so many of us don't realize that we have power, or that we can use it, or that we trust ourselves to be able to use it, or that we're supposed to use it. Because we're so used to being told, women especially, comment, or it could be viewed as that, we have, as women, given away our power in so many circumstances. And it is condoned by society. That's expected. And it's not okay, and it's not right, and it's not
that way. 1,000 years ago, it was not that way at all.
Exactly, and it's not honoring. It's not honoring to the feminine. It's not honoring to the masculine, because you need to have both sides strong in order to have a healthy body, have a healthy family, have a healthy community, have a healthy society. You know, it really does have to be in balance, both standing strong.
Yes.
And that has been one of my most interesting challenges, is learning to speak my truth. Because when I was little, I was very intuitive and would not have a filter and would just share whatever I saw and heard and felt. And, you know, we've talked about this a lot, you and I. And so I became quiet. I didn't speak. I gave away my ability to share my power to anybody who was in authority, anybody, teachers, government officials, police officers, professors, anybody who was, in my opinion, in a higher place of stature than me. And it could literally be stature, or it could be position, or it could
be the little red man at the walk sign.
Could be. He has a position of power.
He does.
He's an authority. Yes. And, you know, we are raised, and this is a very interesting fine line. We are raised to follow directions. But we're never reminded that after we become a certain age, we can actually start asking questions again. You know, it's a good thing.
Yes.
Ask why. Well, because. And start digging, finding out what your answer is. And even with my kids, as frustrating as it is, I encourage them to ask questions. There is a time and a place, and we learn all those boundaries. But if you don't understand something, ask me what I mean by it. Ask me why something needs to happen a particular way. Ask if you don't understand. But as adults, we lose that. And I actually took the kids out of school one year, the older kids out of school for 1 year. And we spent the year learning how to ask questions again. Why? Why is it this way? How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
And I think we've become a society of sheeple that just do as we're told.
Sheeple, that's a good one. But you know, it's interesting when you're in a position like we are of teaching, of consulting, and of you know, being an instructor of sorts. And when we're working with children. Children do ask questions. In fact, they ask that, but their questions are very often like, how? How do I do this? And they don't see the limitations. Whereas older people, they do ask a lot of questions, but their questions are very limiting. Well, like, why, you know, like, I don't know if I can do it outside of what I've already learned, and how can that be? How can that work that way? And this is a very pertinent point to what we're going to be moving into in the next, like once we're going to be wrapping this up with the limiting beliefs and moving into creativity, because many of the people, and I think we'll probably end up touching on this maybe a little bit later in the program today and a little bit later on next week, is I don't have the will. We started it off with, I don't have the willpower to do it, or I'm not creative. We've talked about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
When we break out of these conformists, when we break these and blast these conformist type of things that we have been inundated with, even if it's that little red man at the walk sign.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's raining, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and people are standing there waiting to cross the street because the little red man says you can't cross.
Right.
And there are no cars. It just doesn't make sense. Sometimes we take our conformity to the extreme. When we learn to start breaking through that conformity, those are the first steps toward igniting your creativity.
Yes, they go hand in hand. Absolutely. And it comes down to a safety thing about, you know, is it okay? Am I going to be all right? And once we really, you know, realize that that belief in that little red man on the walk sign is back from when we were a little kid, when we had to learn to look right or left to make sure that it was safe. As you get older, you kind of have a sixth sense. You can kind of look and see, oh, nope, no cars. I'm going to go ahead and walk. And you also understand that if you walk and you get hit, there's consequences, and you're prepared to handle that. But we still operate from that 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old that is told to keep them safe, that they don't go, well, that little red man is standing guard. So, and I think a lot of times, you know, we're talking about very, very similar things. We're just shifting the words a little bit, because the personal power is about taking it back and saying, okay, guess what? I can trust myself now to make good decisions. I'm grown up. I've learned the things I need to learn. Now I get to take charge of my life. And that's a scary thing for teachers, for police officers, for the media, for companies that are gaining lots and lots of money by us not asking questions.
Right.
Because once you start asking questions, it's like, I'm sorry, why do I have to do that? Because, okay, I have to give you my cell phone number so that you can keep my account safe.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it?
No, it doesn't. But if you don't stop and literally stop and go, could you say that to me one more time?
Yes.
It's actually kind of scary when you start waking up and seeing how often this happens, that we just don't even question. Because I view myself as fairly astute. Over the last few years, my eyes have really been opened up, and it still sideswipes me on occasion. And it's, you know, that's, it's frustrating, it's scary, and it's one of the things that drives me is giving people, letting them know that they have the right to take their job. Their job is to take their life back. And you know, to get their stuff in order, to get their systems aligned, to be able to understand, I am my own person, we are one, and I am an individual. And it's kind of a mind messer if you stop and think about that one. But it also works in that we have to be able to set boundaries, just like there's a boundary in cells. Each cell does their own job, but and they have a boundary, but they work together.
Yes.
So we as human beings, in my opinion, with the learning that I have now, is that we are like individual cells. We've got our boundaries. We each have our own tasks, but we all work together. We're all part of the one. But until we can start to know where our boundaries are and actually put up the boundary, put up the, I don't like to use the word barrier, because it's permeable. It allows things to pass.
Well, it's about taking your power, and it's about realizing that you do have power, and that you can, and that we do have power, and just the fact that if we can say, I am a powerful person, and I am in control, people are not going to take advantage of you. Because you're not giving them the power. And it could be, whether it's a blockade of sorts, or whatever it is. It's basically about not giving away your power.
Yes.
Because every time we allow people to take advantage, and every time we allow our own self-limiting thoughts to believe and to think that we can't step out of the circle, we're just diluting ourselves. And
Yes.
it goes right back to the I don't have the willpower.
Yes.
We're diluting ourselves when we say that. And
Right.
it's not just we're diluting ourselves, and we are diluting our power.
Yes. And one of the things that came up, and I've helped people with this many times before, their understanding or their belief around power is a very negative thing. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be
Yeah.
obnoxious. I
Well,
don't want to take advantage of people.
You know why we do that? I have an answer for that.
Share it, please.
Because the people in the world that have the power are all a bunch of friggin' assholes.
Yes. Yes. And it's
what government in this world, including our own dear United States here, how many of them have really helped us? In the long run. The governments are supposed to be there for the welfare of the people, but what they do is they take taxes, they take the money, and they give just enough back to the people to pacify them. But man, I won't go off on a rant. I won't go off on a rant about government, politicians, and all that. But the idea is that when we truly look at the people that have got major power, the people that have the money, the people that are running the stuff, if these kind of people that are not coming from their heart, that are not being magnanimous with their resources and with their money to help the rest of the world, then this is what our concept of what power is. And of course we don't want to be that way. Of course.
Right.
Because we're trying to come from a place of heart. And look at all the, was it J.K. Rowling? Look at all the criticism she took from the big guys about giving away her money. Mm-hmm. She gave so much money away with the foundations. I mean, she was considered one of the richest women on earth until she gave away her money.
Wow. Yeah, and oh my gosh, we could go down this one for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, so I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there, but
no, it's all related.
Bringing it back to the power, bringing it back to the power, and knowing that power is a good thing. It is a good thing, because power is the trigger when we tap into our creativity. And then they go hand in hand, because the more creative we are, the more we're in our own balanced power, and the more that the universe is helping to take care of us, and we can take care of ourselves.
Yes. And the interesting challenge that I don't know if you've dealt with this, but I know that I have, as I have been taking back more and more and more of my power, is being able to walk in and share my power from a place of truly being from my heart, not being the defensive, angry person that I was. Where I can go into situations with my boundaries, with love, and stand and be okay and not have to fight, not either have to pick a fight, not have to engage in a fight, or not have to necessarily walk away from a fight. I can just go and be, and the fight disappears, because it takes two to fight. And the conflict happens when one person is trying to abuse their power, which means to usurp someone else's. And it's an actual expanding of their personal space that starts to infringe on another person's. And as we learn to hold our own power and extend it out, we can hold our own boundary without anybody being able to cross that line. And I know that's kind of an esoteric topic, But it's not, because everybody has had experiences with someone whose energy field, whose power is out to here, and they're like prickly. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, no, don't, yeah, I don't know what you talk about, don't know what you're trying to sell me, but I don't want to have anything to do with you. And the other person seems to be oblivious. They're like, whoa, I do, whatever. And it's men and women, it's not
Yeah.
just men. I've seen as
Yeah.
many
And it could
women.
be as simple as a personality difference of extrovert and introvert, which, it could be that
Possibly,
simple.
but there's also another feel to it that hits you in the gut that's like,
Yeah, yes.
yeah,
We need to honor what we're feeling, picking up on
yeah.
energetically. Exactly.
So, okay, so we've covered a lot about personal power and what it means and some of the blocks that you might have to it. And these will, each time that you hear a word that causes your body to kind of go, that's one to write down. That's one to start
Hmm.
doing a little investigating about. What is it? What are my beliefs around personal power? What are my beliefs around someone who is in power? What are my beliefs around carrying power? Will people like me? Is that a concern? Am I afraid that I won't have any friends if I am powerful? And then if you start peeling that away even more, then the next layer of questions is, oh, I hate it when that happens. Okay, so I guess I'm not going to share it with you right now. Then it's
Well,
nothing. It went
maybe
away.
because there was something that I wanted to share about that because
Okay,
you know we
I'm gonna.
we do feel that prickliness from other people and stuff, and very often it's if we're going back to that power thing, whether it's a conformist struggle, sure, whether it's a conformist struggle or whether it's a um, just a totally different personality or whatever it is, we don't have to buy into that. Um, we we recognize it, and we don't have to agree. We don't have to buy into that conformity. We can just tell that person to piss off. Okay, it's funny. Last week I was talking about Stuart Wilde, and he's an amazing guy. He talks a lot about being in his personal power, and everybody has their power moving into the creativity. And he was hired to do a corporate training about about being more productive, about being more creative. And he did it on a Friday. There were 30 people in the seminar. On Monday, 11 people quit their jobs. And that was basically the end of his corporate career. But the reason for that being is that he showed them a different way. He showed them that you don't have to settle. You don't have to settle for a job that pays you just enough to pay the rent. You don't have to settle for being something and thinking less of yourself. Getting back to what Jennifer said, Jennifer, I know she's taken off for a minute, so I'm just taking the reins here for a minute. Getting back to what we started the whole thing about is the problem solving. And what do you do when you're truly stuck? You can go back, and when you don't really care about that why, you just really want to know, how you move forward. Well, one of those ways is to step out and do something different. Do something that you would not have thought to do before. Even if it's, turning to a stranger on the street and saying, "I love you." And he's like, "Oh, what, you weirdo or something?" He's like, "No, I just want to let you know I love you, man." uh,
Yeah,
any little thing that you can do to create an interrupt, because Jennifer in the last few weeks has talked about that interrupt, creating an interrupt in the brain, because when we're stuck, very often we're going around a hamster wheel. We're going around that hamster wheel of conformity, of belief systems that have been inundated on us that they're just not really true.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, I
I
started off with, I actually started a little bit lower than that, didn't I? I guess we should go back a little bit.
uh,
Uh, we should really go right back to the willpower.
Okay. So this is kind of a really fun exercise to do, and you can do this with any words, any phrases, any thoughts, any beliefs, and it's really getting some instant feedback on how your body, your energy system actually views that word or phrase. So starting with a reframe, and to really get to feel how your physical body is responding and reacting. So first off, just take a deep breath. Take two if you need to. And settle, just feel yourself settle down into your body. And say the words. And if you say them out loud, it's way more effective. Say, I don't have the willpower. And notice how your body feels. Well, jot down how it feels. Jot it down on some paper so you can go back and look at it. So then take another deep breath. And settling back into your body. Let's phrase it this way. I don't know how to use my willpower yet. How much lighter does that feel? To me, it's always amazing when you can change the words you use and notice what a big difference it makes in our physical body. And I wrote all this out, and you guys can read it when you want to. I'm going to kind of paraphrase it, but I was asking, what was it about that phrase, I don't have the willpower, that was bothering me so badly? Because, I mean, this one really gets me. And it's because it's got the energy of the victim. And it's kind of like, I wrote this, it's kind of like what I imagine being trapped in a tar pit would feel like. You know, the heavy, drugged down, So by helping you to see where it originates, where that feeling comes from, it's going to allow you to start to release that victim mentality, which will lighten everything up and allow you to think far more creatively. Whoa, I just went all the way off the page.
And I just want to throw a little disclaimer in there. I mean, there are times, of course, when we're saying we don't have the willpower, where, you know, it very well could be something physical. There could be something that is bothering you. Maybe you've been eating poorly or not getting enough sleep. You know, we need to take care of every aspect of it. It's not just the spiritual and mental, but it's the emotional, the physical. They all come together. I have a friend who, we've known each other and we've worked together online for about 4 or 5 years now. And recently, in the last few months, he was using that very thing. I just don't have the willpower. I just don't have the energy to do any of this. I'm tired of it. I don't want to do it anymore. And as it turned out, he had a very serious growth tumor inside his head. And he had, he finally did realize it, even though he had been to the doctor numerous times, 4 or 5 times. It was like maybe by the 7th or 8th time of all of these infections coming back and problems, having, that they finally were able to really dig deep enough to find out there was a problem.
Wow.
So sometimes, you know, if you're saying you don't have the willpower to do something, it could be, you know, as simple as, it's like we have played the victim our whole lives. But then again, it could be something else. Can I tell? I don't mean to hog the mic here, but I want to share a story that has happened to me just in the last 2 weeks.
Please.
With all of the online marketing that I've done, I have tried for 3 years now to get a certain software going to run viral contests. And I knew that if I could really get my head around this contest, that I could really make it work, and I could make it work for a lot of different niches and maybe for my clients as well. So I kept walking away from it because something never quite worked. Something was never there. And finally, with this new niche that I'm working in with the last month or two, I really wanted to use this software, and I wanted to finally get it once or for all. And for 2 weeks, I couldn't get it. I even launched it, and people it looked like there was a lot of activity, and people were supposedly opting in, and they were doing all the things that I had told them to do within within the directions of the contest. But I had no signups. And then I started testing it. I got some close friends to test it, and they weren't signed up. And here I was really beating myself up, almost feeling depressed, thinking, gosh, nobody's signing up for my contest, and I'm just not good enough, and I just don't have the willpower to go on and do this anymore, because I don't know what I can do to get people to like me enough to do it. It was starting to hit on me personally, all right?
Right. Right.
And the support told me everything was okay. The support kept telling me, I don't know what's wrong, maybe, you don't have this or whatever, blah, blah. Finally, I whined and I whined and I cried and I complained, and I did that for 2 freaking weeks. Finally, when the big boss heard me whining within the mastermind, he said, you guys, you work with her until you find out what the problem is. And right after the mastermind meeting that we had online, they got on. They worked me. It was midnight here, and we worked together, and we went through. We troubleshooted everything.
Line.
They found the problem. My license, they said, was expired. I think my license was never activated, because I've had the same problem for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I thought it was me this whole time. So I was giving away my power. And you get tired, but life, if the Buddhists say, life is suffering. When the larger we get, the higher we get, the more things are going to come at you. It's just like they came at Jennifer with the launch. Just things come at you, and things come at you, and they trigger our self-limiting beliefs.
Yes, they do.
But as long as we just relax and do that simple process that you just mentioned a moment ago, relax, breathe. Notice your words. The words do have power. They have energy. Question it. Ask, why is this happening? Maybe there's something that's happening that I'm not seeing. Obviously, in my case, I wasn't seeing that there was a technical glitch. And you had a technical glitch too. Technology has a way of doing this. It happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
So once we're willing to release that, I love what you said here, be willing to release your death grip on your thoughts. They can be manipulated. That's a good one. I'm going to throw it back to you on that one.
Yeah. Well, seriously, because then you can actually practice your willpower by choosing to think that there is a positive turn just around the corner.
Yes.
That the negative that is happening is for a better, higher, more positive outcome. And you have to sometimes choose which thought you're going to feed. Just like the kid and his grandfather, which sees 2 wolves, one white, one black. I know, terrible dichotomy. One's evil, one's good. And the kid asks his grandfather, which one is going to win? And the grandfather says, whichever one you feed. And it's the same one with our thoughts. Whichever one you feed will end up being victorious. And it does take choice. You have to choose which one you're going to feed, which one you're going to play with, which one you're going to say, thank you, I appreciate you keeping me safe all these years, and I am choosing a different path.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be a battle. And that's where sometimes we use our personal power not in the best way, especially as we are breaking free of our family of origin programming, because one of the things that I've had to make peace with is that there are no such thing as perfect parents. I have tried to be one, and it's not possible. It's not possible.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
Oh, I know. And, of course, that can be taken, well, if you can't do it, what are you saying? So if you can't do it, nobody can do it? Well, no, what I'm saying is that because you've got two human beings interacting, there's not ever going to be perfect
Hmm.
anything anywhere because we're imperfect creatures. And perfect from my perspective is not going to be perfect from his.
I think it was Salvador Dali who said, "Perfection is an illusion. Get over it."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I have noticed as I've gotten older, there are so many of my family constraints that I have been battling with. That has been my
Mhm.
modus operandi most of my life, is to go into battle. And well, if that's what you're doing, I'm going to do nothing like it. I will not do anything that looks anything similar to what they were. And what that forced me to do is to cut off parts of myself, because there are some amazing qualities that come through from my family of origin that I have been blocking most of my life until the last few years. And it's that being able to integrate and to choose and to be able to say, oh, that's great, that's wonderful for you, and I'm going to go a different way. You're no harm, no foul. I wish you the best. We can walk by each other and besides each other. I'm
Yeah.
just not going to be walking on that path, and that's okay because my path is different from yours. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean I'm better. It doesn't mean I don't like you. I'm just going
Yeah.
to walk over here. I didn't realize that you could do that. Whoa, how freeing is that?
Yes.
Because seriously, because I have spent most of my life fighting, being incredibly obstinate. I've got to do it myself. I've got to
Mm.
be super strong. I can't rely on other people. The
And
list goes on.
there's nothing wrong with that as long as we when we realize that it's the first step toward greater awareness, because
Yeah.
we have to step out of the mold, we have to break the mold, we have to go do something different in order to understand how the creative process works.
Yes.
Because with 7 billion people on the earth, we have 7 billion ways of doing the same thing.
Exactly. Exactly. There's not going to be one size fits all. It's not going to happen, because you see two people learn the same program. One goes out and makes a huge success with it, and the other one isn't able to get more than 2 steps forward. Why
Mm.
is that? Because they're two different people.
Yeah.
They're two different programming packages within their own head. There's different genetic codes. There's different ways of thinking, different ways of problem solving, different ways of interacting. Find your path. Take one step at a time. Write, question, think, listen, speak for yourself. Start standing up for yourself by putting in healthy boundaries, and keep moving forward. It is so much easier to move a ship that's already moving forward. If you need to go around a buoy, or if you find out, wait, there's a log in the water, we need to course adjust. So much easier to do that than to move a ship that's parked at the jetty. It's not going anywhere. So start moving, put some fuel into your engines, start taking action. Even if it's simply doing your morning pages, that is a huge action, which you may not understand for several weeks. But it is astounding when you look back on it and go,
Mm-hmm.
holy cats. So yes, I've got my son doing, I've mentioned this before, I've got my youngest one
Yeah,
doing
that's
morning
great.
pages, and
How
he
is he
hates
doing
it.
with that? Oh, he must hate it. Yeah, it's hard. And for some people, I know I'm actually enjoying it now. I'm really enjoying it because I know that that there's a lot that needs to come out, and it's a great exercise for that. But when I
Yes.
was younger, and the first time I was introduced to them, it was like cutting my wrists and bleeding all over the page. It was
Hmm.
awful. And then
Yeah.
it looked like a bloody mess too, what I wrote.
Yes. But see, I'm sorry to speak over you, but this was another thing that came up around the morning pages that I'm finding in the adult clients that I work with. There's a fear of it being read. There's a fear of their innermost thoughts being exposed to ridicule and judgment. And that's why when we do with the morning pages, we're not even supposed to go back and read what we've written. That's like it's a no-go. For the first 3 or 4 weeks, you don't go back and read it, because this is not something to be judged or critiqued or anything. It is simply to get the stuff out of your head. So if someone is trying to do the morning pages and that's something that comes up, if this sparks something for them of oh, but it's not safe, that gives you something to work with right there. Create that safe space to be able to do what you need to do to move forward, because as an adult, you can set those parameters. You can create that safe space of, this is my journal, this is my writing, don't look at it. Or if the environment is one where you have to kind of watch it, hide it. And I know that sounds juvenile. And in essence, you are taking the actions to take care of yourself. And there will come a point when you will be able to put the boundary up saying, no, this is mine, don't touch. And it will be respected because of the energy that will be going through your words. Until then, do what you need to do to keep it safe so that you feel safe to keep doing the process.
During this series and also the upcoming series in the later part of the summer, we've been talking a lot about morning pages, and many people that may just be coming on for the first time may be wondering, what are morning pages? Well, they come from this book, The Artist's Way. It's by Julia Cameron, and it's a course in discovering and recovering your creative self. This is where we originally found the morning pages. So if you really want to do yourself a favor of blasting your limiting, if you feel that you need maybe some help beyond the videos, something to grasp in your hand as a reference book, this is a great reference book for it.
Yes, it is.
Today's theme has been to blast through that self-limiting belief of I have no willpower. So when we recognize that, Jennifer, I'd like to just do a little synopsis, like an end summary, and say when we recognize ourselves doing that, how do we reframe it and how do we fix it, as it were?
The biggest, easiest, fastest way to start taking your power back with those thoughts is to reframe it. Because the limiting belief of I don't have willpower, one, isn't true. And if you put it into for example, the one that we used, I don't know how to use my willpower yet. And by reframing it, by changing it around so it's a positive, it changes the energy within your system, and it also actually opens up the creativity. It starts a conversation with yourself, with your belief system. It's like, okay, so what are some ways that I could start using my willpower in a positive way? Oh, you mean I can say, I'm going to go for a walk right now, so you need to grab yourself an apple and grab a book, and I'll be back in 15 minutes because I'm going to do this for me. Oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
I could do that. So not only are you reframing it in your head, you're taking action, you're supporting yourself, you're setting up a healthy boundary, and you're suggesting healthy activities for other people. So one thing leads to another without it having to be difficult or hard. And it starts to snowball. It will gain momentum as you continue to walk it out.
Absolutely, that power, it's very empowering. The more traditional way is to recognize, people have told us traditionally, well, just don't do that. When you recognize that you're beating yourself up, stop it. And how often have you seen people say, oh, I did that again. Oh, I'm stupid. Right. Well, it acts like a tight rubber band. because what happens is you're trying to pull away and it snaps right back.
And you end up breaking your own heart and shutting down your fourth chakra every time you do that.
Exactly, yes. And boy, does it hurt when it snaps like that too.
Yeah.
But the reframing of it is just of softening it, polishing it, and just clearing away the cobwebs of the negativity, reframing it into the positive. It's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Because it really is the truth.
Yes.
And that's the other thing. The limiting belief is never a truth. It's something that we may have believed, but that doesn't mean that it's true. Just like they used to believe that the earth was flat.
Mm-hmm.
We now believe that it's round. And
I heard that the earth was flat again.
Oh, really? Cool.
Thomas Friedman. Are you familiar with that book, Thomas Friedman, The World is Flat?
Oh, I haven't.
It's a really good one. It talks about how all the powers of that media and governments and everybody used to have, it's like the technology and the internet has flattened the playing field.
Huh.
20 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to do this.
Right.
We wouldn't have been able, 20 or 30 years ago, we wouldn't have been, it would have cost us tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, to get this kind of a platform and to be reaching as many people as we are. Mm-hmm. So that's the feeling of running flat. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there, but it reminded me. I'm like, oh yeah, the world is flat, but it's a totally different meaning.
Yeah, but it's actually very relevant, Michaela. That it's very fascinating to listen to our hangouts and to listen to our conversation and just be kind of back a little bit to see. It's like, no, that was perfect. It's all interrelated, and it all leads to where we're going and where we've been and where we want to be. I know, it's brilliant. Okay, so I've got the document already loaded up onto the website. So if you go to the academyofholistichealing.com /resources/hangouts, actually just go up to resources and follow it. It'll take you to the hangout page. We've got all of the hangouts there. All of the documents are already there for you to download at your convenience. And if you run into any difficulties, let me know, and I will make sure to get that straightened out.
Awesome.
I think we are done for this week. Next week is going to be the doozy. And
that's the big wrap-up, isn't it? The big finale for the series. That doesn't mean that we're stopping. We're going to continue. But
we're just going to keep the last big punch. I don't feel like I deserve it. Yeah. Exactly. I love this one because this is one that I worked on for a year every day. So there's good stuff here, guys.
Great.
So,
thank you
Michaela,
so much, Jennifer, everybody.
Yes.
Love you.
Love you. Thank you, everyone.
Aloha.